In the Bible, we're taught of the prophet Elijah, who found himself terribly, terribly alone in the world, hunted by the king's police. All of his colleagues, the other prophets, had been taken, had been destroyed by the queen Jezebel. His people rejected him, and Elijah retreated to the desert to find himself and find his God. And the Bible says that he stood on Mount Sinai and God was there with him. And there came a great fire, but God was not in the fire. And then a great earthquake, and God was not in the earthquake. And then a great storm, and God was not in the storm. And then teaches the Bible, Kol Damama Daka, an exquisite, delicate silence. And God was there. There he found God's presence and found his courage. In 75 years, we have had great fires and great earthquakes and great storms, both literally and metaphorically. Over these years, some of the greatest minds have taught from this bima. Elie Wiesel, Adin Steinsaltz, Viktor Frankl, Mordechai Kaplan, great religious leaders, the Catholic Cardinal of the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, the Archbishop of the Armenian Church, Muslim leaders and Buddhist leaders, and Christian leaders of every denomination. The greatest rabbis have taught here. David Hartman, Yitz Greenberg, Harold Kushner, David Ellenson. And for 40 years, we were blessed with the greatest, with Rabbi Harold Schulweis and with Malka Schulweis. Great talents have shared their creative genius from this bima. Ami Aloni, Sam Fortis, Herschel Fox, Phil Barron, Noreen Green, Chris Harden, and now the wonderful Jackie Raffi. Great souls have come to inspire us and share their stories. The humble Danish policeman, now retired to a life in Orange County, came and in a hushed, quiet tone told us that when he was a young man, he would gather Jewish families from the neighborhoods of Copenhagen and smuggle them down to the port and pay the fishermen to take them across the isthmus to Sweden and save them from the Nazis. And when we asked him, "Why did you do this?" he looked at us and said, "Of course, because it was the right thing. Because these were Danes, these were friends." The Catholic family, a wonderful woman who lives in Woodland Hills, her father was an SS commander in the city of Cologne. And he knew that there was a Jewish family, the tobacconist, who was in trouble. So this SS commander took that tobacconist, this Jewish family, and hid them in their summer home in the forest. And she, as a little girl, would bring food and books and toys for that family and knew not to tell anyone that there was a Jewish family hiding in the family's home in the forest. The Bulgarian princess who came here and told us of her brother who was poisoned to death by the Nazis because he and his father ordered the Bulgarian people to lie down on the tracks and keep the Nazi trains from taking Bulgaria's Jews to Auschwitz. All of these remarkable stories, glorious moments for this community. But the truth is that the real presence of God came in Kol Damama Daka, in the delicate, exquisite, simple, quiet moments of transcendence. My friends Kenny and Danny had a bar mitzvah. They were students in our Shari Tikva program. They'd spent a year preparing for the bar mitzvah, knew it perfectly. We gathered in Weiner Chapel with their families. Danny stood at the bima about to begin the service. We turned around and Kenny was nowhere to be found. So we searched the chapel, we went to the bathrooms, we looked all over the building. For 45 minutes, we searched for this kid. He was gone. We sent people to McDonald's across the street. We sent people to his house. We searched the neighborhood. And then after 45 minutes, we found him. You know where he was? In that closet right back there. Because Kenny had learned that when you're in trouble, that when you're frightened, when the world is too much to bear, come into the shul. Come into the synagogue. Here you're safe. Here you are embraced. Here you are protected. And the young man from Beit Tshuva, who had finished a sentence of 10 years for some horrifying crime and came here in his khakis and T-shirts with his ink, the tattoos up and down his arms, and stood staring up at the Torah. So we opened the ark and handed him a Sefer Torah. And this giant of a man in army boots and khakis began to weep. And he said, I haven't held a Torah since I was 13 years old. If I can hold a Torah, then I can be pure. If I can be pure, I can begin my life again. These quiet, transcendent moments are the ones that brought God into this building these 75 years. The sparkle in the eye of a small kid listening to a Shabbos story on Friday morning. The sigh of a bar mitzvah who just finished his haftorah and knows he did it well. The tears in our eyes as the bride enters the room and walks up this aisle toward the chuppah, toward her groom. The tears that fall from our eyes as we remember loved ones on Yizkor. The tears when we hear our children singing Hatikva. These are the holy moments that make a great synagogue. We say a blessing at Havdalah on Saturday night. Hamavdil ben kodesh lechol, God who has given us the capacity to distinguish the holy from the ordinary. It's about our capacity to hold moments, holy moments, sacred moments, moments that matter, moments of elevation, moments of connection, moments of inspiration, moments of consolation, moments that are memorable, moments that transform. Baruch hamavdil ben kodesh lechol. That's what makes for a great synagogue. The moments. You measure a synagogue by its capacity to cultivate holy moments, by its capacity to awaken us and open our eyes to holy moments, exquisite moments, moments when God comes close, and moments of hope. Most of all, moments of hope. To realize that the larger mythic narrative that we are part of, to see what was invisible to us before, to teach us that we have been called to be a blessing, to be a blessing to the world, to be a blessing to the Jewish people, invited and beckoned and sometimes shoved into this great process that we call Jewish history. You measure a synagogue's greatness, not by the beauty of its windows and its walls, not by the power of its membership. You measure the greatness of a synagogue by the depth of its holy moments. Baruch hamavdil ben kodesh lechol, and we have been blessed with so many holy moments. Eileen Berman and I have shared innumerable holy moments. We grew up together. We are both refugees from Canoga Park. Eileen lived on the nicer side of Shoup Avenue, and we lived on the lower class side of Shoup Avenue. Our homes were the same home. Our mothers were like sisters, which means they loved each other fiercely and fought ferociously. Our fathers were best of friends, both small businessmen trying to scratch out a living in this world. Wally was our scout leader. Myra was the president of, everything. And Eileen and I grew up together and then found ourselves here. She learned from her mother a remarkable capacity, Heimishkeit. It's a Yiddish word meaning the capacity to turn any space into a home, into a place where people feel welcome and accepted and celebrated, a place where we are hugged. She learned from her mother that beautiful quality of Heimishkeit and brought that to Valley Beth Shalom. She learned from her father wonderful abilities to organize and to lead, and she brought that to Valley Beth Shalom. She learned from her whole family, and her uncle's here tonight, from that whole family, a remarkable, deep commitment to Yiddishkeit, to Jewishness, to the Jewish people, to Torah, and to Israel. And what tiny drop of equanimity and serenity she has in her soul, she learned from Dennis. And is still learning from Dennis. But her energy, her passion, the ferocious love she brings to all of us, and her commitment to this community and to the Jewish community at large has no bounds. We have shared so many moments of tears and moments of celebration and moments of wonder. And for all of those moments, I am so very grateful. Would you all please rise as we honor Eileen Berman?